Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Heckling Hollywood podcast. My name is Tom, and we have Jack. Say hi, Jack.
I'm still eating a biscuit.
God damn. We have a little bit of an ultimatum for a little bit of a problem for you folks at home.
Did you realize you said ultimatum and was like, I don't know what that word means.
I didn't know. I had to roll back, but no, we. You take us for a very professional podcast. We do our due diligence, we do our research, and we go into the field and watch the films that you want to hear about.
Are we going to the field?
We're going to the field.
Jesus Christ, man. Going to the front lines.
We're going to the front lines of the Odeon Cineplex.
Step beside the fat, greasy bastards.
Mm-hmm. We do it so you don't have to, but sadly today...
Is that copyrighted?
What?
Can Doug Walker sue us for that?
No.
No?
Doug Walker ain't got shit.
Doug Walker doesn't know how to sue. That's fine.
But yeah, we have sadly not watched anything in the past week of note. And
Not technically true. We have watched things, but nothing new because nothing new has come out.
Yeah, there's nothing to talk about this week. So we are kind of at a crossroads of, do we not put out a podcast or do we talk absolute shit for the next 30 to 45 minutes?
Well, to be fair, the podcasts have gotten much more about us chatting shit. I mean, the last podcast we did was Trash Taste.
Yeah.
Which we just...
Yeah, that was... There was no movies in that.
We just chatted shit.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we are officially no longer a movie podcast.
We're going to heckle Hollywood from afar.
We're going to heckle everyone. All-inclusive heckling.
All-inclusive heckling.
Yeah.
Heckling everyone.
There you go. Equally.
Equally. There you go. There you go. Like all great podcasts, we start off as one thing and then realize that one thing is hard.
Yeah.
And we just like to chat shit.
Discipline is not designed for people who sleep until 1 p.m.
Oh, well, that's another thing. I remember saying, oh, it'd be really great if we could just get a podcast done earlier in the week, and then that way we could just have it already premiered and uploaded on... We're filming this, recording on Sunday. It should have been up 2 hours ago. Just doing it now.
It'll be up when it's up.
It'll be up by 6 or so, or whatever time somebody's watching this. I don't know. Isn't 6 like 12 or 11 in America anyway?
Yeah.
It's whatever. It's fine.
We'll be grand.
Yeah, it's fine. Australia's getting this at like in the early hours of the morning on Monday. Yeah, it's fine.
It's just Callum on his old CRT television with a dial-up modem.
Oh man, when did Australia sees plasma TVs? Man, they're gonna love it. Super fast, 35 megabits per second broadband. Oh man. They'll have the future. The future.
There we go. They won't comprehend it. They'll go to war with it.
I'm pretty sure there is some places in Australia where it's like, we have dead spots in this country because a lot of it's field. Mm-hmm. So there is dead spots where you'll be on the bus and you'll be traveling and it's like,
yeah, you just lose
it's not even 3G. It's like E, where it's like, you can't even send a text with that. I think Australia, like especially just as soon as you get outside of anything major, even the small towns are like, no, we've got a ton of dead spots, man. You ain't getting nothing. Don't think they know what ultra fast is over there.
Fucking morons. I don't know what to say.
Per people.
Per people.
Per people. There you go.
Hurt people hurt people.
Tom, what have you been getting up to this week? Because I've been sick as fuck.
Yeah, you've been in hospice care basically. You've been lying in your room, gone through around 5 packs of paracetamol.
Well, as you do.
4 packs of underwear. God, it's
stinky.
Been a rough state of affairs.
In the
Oval Office.
But I've survived. Back to work tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I have both enjoyed and hated being off. I haven't known what to do with myself.
Jack, all you've done is watch Kitchen Nightmares for like 2 weeks straight.
It's been fantastic, actually. You know what? I take everything back. I have loved every second of it. I have absolutely adored.
It has been a heaven.
Kitchen Nightmares. I watched. It's funny enough we say Australia. I watched Kitchen Nightmares Australia. I was a bit worried because I was like, this isn't Gordon Ramsay. Who's this guy?
They're going to ruin it.
They're going to ruin it. Australia are going to ruin yet another thing. This is terrible. I can't take it. But I watched the first episode, and it's a boy, Colin. Forget his second name. Irish boy. Mm-hmm. And I knew instantly. I was like, oh, that's an Irish boy. So it's basically just an Irish fella going around just basically saying all these restaurants are shite.
Yeah.
But it's Australia, so they have a lot of different locales. So there's ones in the city. There's ones near the beaches. So they different and varied locales for restaurants. But he doesn't just go to restaurants. He goes to like small takeaway places, like American style diners. And I was like, okay, this is actually a bit. It's not exactly the same thing. I thought it was very good.
I can't imagine just yelling at the person that works in the chip shop that like they're doing a bad job. It's like, in a Michelin star restaurant, you would be cutting all these chips at exactly 5 centimeters by 0.5 centimeters, and then they're just like, it's a fucking chippy, mate.
I think that's the mad thing, is because he was going to these places, and I was thinking, oh, no, is it going to be a bit? Because you had mentioned at one point, well, what if they come in and say, oh, you need to start using these ingredients and this, that, and the other.
You'd put some people out of business.
You would. That's never what they do, because they always take that into account. And in this case, whenever Kong, the first episode is the American style diner. Whenever he goes in, he says, he tastes their chips, and he's like, listen, a place like this lives and dies by their chips. People will just go in to get a portion of chips. So whenever he goes in, and they're shite. They're shite chips. He's like, listen, it's not a case of, these aren't the best chips in the world. They're just not good.
Yeah.
And then he finds out the oil that's been used hasn't been changed in God knows how long. And it's simple things like that.
Yeah.
The place itself is overstaffed because the owner doesn't want to
Fire anyone?
She doesn't want, not even she doesn't want to fire anybody, but everyone complains about their shifts, and she doesn't want to debate them or anything. So she just gives everybody kind of the shifts that they want. And it means that there's not enough customers to sustain how much staff is there. Yeah. So it's simple things like that he's trying to go in there and fix. But then you have other things like one of the cooks has a burger on there, and it's got like beef, bacon, banana, peanut butter, and it's give you a heart attack. Yeah. And he ate it. He's like, that is one of the worst things I've ever eaten in my life. But then he even says, like, here, whenever he puts out all the food, like the new menu, he even says, like, here, mate, come on over here. He calls it the Elvis burger. Yeah. And it's like, listen, if Elvis ate this, he'd probably die a second time. Take a wee taste. And it's better. And it's like, it doesn't have peanut butter, doesn't have any of that, but it does have some of the staples that were in his original burger. So you can see that he's trying to say, listen, some of your ideas are absolutely woeful, but we're not coming in here and going to try and make you something that you're not. We're just going to make sure that you've got it financially down. Obviously, they'll do a wee makeover, but honestly, some of these places are so lovely, they barely have to do anything to them. It's not like in America where they just are like 10-year-old designs. They look like something out of the 50s, like just absolutely atrocious.
It's a lot of the places. Another Italian restaurant that can't cook lasagna to save their life.
Jesus Christ. To be fair, it's not often that I see a microwave.
Yeah,
that's something in Australia. I don't know if they know what microwaves are. Yeah, I didn't see a lot of microwaves.
Yeah.
A lot of the time
they're a bit back in the technology. We discussed this.
Yeah, the food is such an important thing of Kitchen Nightmares in the US. Mm-hmm. But this seems to take a bit more from the UK version, where it is a lot more. The food can be bad, but it's really not the reason why these things are failing, and they do go into the idea of, here, listen, I did love there was one that he went to where he took the idea of, listen, well, you're like, where you come from? It's like, oh, you come from this country, and you come from here, and you come from here, and yet you're serving fucking Italian food.
Yeah.
Well, what the fuck's that about? It's like you don't have that identity. So then he starts pulling in, and you can see the chef getting really happy whenever he starts talking about food that he would have eaten as a kid. And it's like, why don't we make this? Like, this would have been fantastic. And it's stuff like that. And I like the fact that it feels different, and it's not trying to,
it's not trying to just copy.
Exactly. Especially that they're not trying to, it doesn't have the violin.
No, I want that. I want that.
It's a lot more, it still has that kind of,
it's got drama. It's got
the drama. Because, like, did you ever watch any of the UK version?
No.
The UK version is very, like, it's almost fly on the wall documentary, where it's just the camera people are very out of the way, and they're just like, here, just follow Gordon around and follow the staff around. There's not a lot of drama in it, and it's a lot of silence. There's a lot of, like, you're a fucking muppet, and then just it just holds on them, and he's like, oh, well, I guess I better get my acting gear, and it's a different vibe. It's a more of an awkward vibe. You're like, oh yeah, it's like the difference between the Office UK and the US
I
version.
was thinking the same thing. Like, awkward pauses or something you don't often see in American television.
Yeah, no, man, because they hate that. They hate anything to do with silence. They're like, no, I can't do that, man. You got to fill it with something. Fill it with music. Fill it with
fucking violent.
Man, they
I hope the guy that played that gets royalties. Because holy shit.
probably not.
He's out with the sound effects team trying to unionize. They have used that Vine boom sound too many times. I want royalties for it.
Well, you know what? I'm just excited because Kitchen Nightmares US is coming back
Oh, you've been on about this.
September 25th, mate, or 26th. One of those two.
One of those days.
One of those days. You know, one of them days. I'm pumped. I'm so excited. I couldn't believe it because they mentioned it as if it's like, oh, and it'll be coming back for a new season. I'm like, coming back for a new season? It's been 10 fucking years. It's been 10 fucking years. What the fuck? And I had a wee look, and it looks pretty... Okay, the interesting thing about something like that is the original Kitchen Nightmares came out in 2004. That's a very different time. 2004 is going on 20 years ago. That's a very different time. The US version started in 2007, right on the cusp of the economic collapse, which is probably the reason why most of them did end up closing down afterwards. But and to be fair, that also hit the UK version as well. But I'm very interested now in a time where you have social media, people constantly, you know, filming things, videoing things, like where like a restaurant can live and die just by somebody sending what's it called now? A tweet, an X, an excerpt,
ZD.
an excerpt.
No, that's too good a word for
That's too good a word for Elon Musk. I don't know, man. You said in your post recently, by the way, everyone, Tom, would you like to promote your... Have you already done it, by the way? You probably already have.
Done what?
Your 5 free copies of your game.
Oh, yeah. I've already promoted that. It's on LinkedIn. It's on Twitter. It's like 2 different giveaways. So we're giving out 10 total, but on 2 different platforms.
Have you given out anything yet?
No, not yet. It ends on Wednesday.
It ends on Wednesday. Okay, fantastic. I'm going to put a wee link in the description. You can win a copy of Tom's game called Face Value. It's a wee dice game. It's wee relaxing. There is no violin strings.
No violence.
It's just very
we
chill.
can add it if people want it.
No, Tom, you can't start changing things because
Yes.
you got to have contempt for
I'm
your
going to
audience.
change the menu for the popular people. I'm going to change who I am personally to have other people like me.
Well, yeah, that's how it works, right?
That's how it works. That's how we get to the top.
That's how you get
Reagan
to the
taught
top.
me He was a great actor.
Tear down this wall. No, Tom. So what do people need to do? They need to go onto your Twitter. They need to... Well, not your Twitter. It's the...
It's the company's Twitter.
It's the company...
Sure, why not?
You need to like, follow, and retweet. But it's not retweet. You need to repost it. Because they've changed that now.
I don't care. I haven't done it for
I noticed that because you saw a retweet and then I was like, oh, I'll retweet it. And then I went in and I was like, there's a retweet button. There's a repost button. I assume that does the same thing. But
I don't care.
you got to repost it. But no, I'll leave a wee link there. Anybody that watches, go on, do that. You get a free wee copy. If you're on a PC that supports, I don't know, Windows XP, you can probably run it then.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
It's
know.
not a Flash game.
I saw you liking and retweeting it, and when like, Jack, you already know you only have a Mac and it doesn't run on Mac, and I was just like,
Well, I'll be honest with you, Tom. I haven't tried.
true.
So-
we haven't tried.
So there's a point where I'm like, well, if I just go on to Steam and I use the code and I pop it in, will it work? I don't.
If we just take software and move it somewhere else, it'll be fine.
I actually have no idea. I don't know. Maybe Steam will just show like game not compatible or something like that.
I don't
I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have a Mac like many people do, then I don't know. Just do it anyway. It's free.
Yeah,
Support the companies. Come on.
sure. Why not?
Support him. Support him. Support him and his.
Love me.
Let's not go that far. You
Love.
don't have to love him.
Love me. Loving me. But Jack, I was watching the rugby, and I wanted to talk about the rugby.
This is an American podcast. We can't allow any silence whatsoever.
Yes. I was at the bar yesterday. I was telling Jack beforehand because it was a thought that I couldn't get out
Tom,
of my
stop
mind.
telling people that we talk outside of this. We hate each other.
We hate each other.
We hate each other. We don't talk outside
Yeah.
of this.
We actually don't know each other. I only know him as Jack. I don't even know his surname. But
Dinkleberry.
Dingleberry, disgusting. Get a better surname. But no, I was at the bar.
Buchanan.
It was. Oh, that's better. I was at the bar, enjoying myself, having a nice wee beer. But there was a lot of people in on a Saturday, and I didn't really know why. And it's normally a sport. I can't even think of another reason. But I was in, I asked why it was so busy, and they went, oh, the rugby's on. Ireland was playing Romania. And for one, Ireland absolutely destroyed Romania. It was like 83 points to 8.
Oh,
Like, yeah, they got demolished.
is rugby the same as Gaelic, where there's the actual goal, but then you can also
Yeah,
score
it's
points?
got a try and then a point. So
Is
I
the
could
try
be
the equivalent of what Gaelic
of a
is?
goal.
The try is the goal.
Yeah, you get it across. It's a try is the equivalent of a touchdown in American football, and
Yeah.
then once you do that, you have an opportunity to kick to get an extra point.
How the fuck do you not score more points?
What?
Because
With the kick?
that's the big reason that people enjoy Gaelic over something like soccer. Because it's goal based, and if you don't score goals, like you don't get anything. So the game can become relatively quite fucking boring unless you have a wee bit of money down. Gaelic is back and forth, back and forth. You're scoring
Yeah.
points left, right, and center. So the game's never really.
So you could always
Stopping.
nab a wee point if you think the defense is too strong for a goal, you can still go for the over
You
the
can.
bar.
It's
Get a
relatively easy to get a. Well, I suppose. How do you get a point in rugby? What's the?
Well, from what I saw, it is closer to American football. Like you basically just push. It's like whoever has the ball pushes it to the opponent's side of the field. You get to like the end zone and you score a try. And I believe try is 3 points.
Yeah.
And then because of that, whenever they're setting everything up to like start again, they basically take another shot at that person's like goal. And if they get it over the bar. And still, they get it in the correct spot. They get an extra point. So instead of just getting like 3 points, you get 4 for
Shite
it.
do you have to be? Because that's the big thing. It seems so relatively easy to get points. You want to go for in this case, the tries,
Yeah.
or the goals or whatever it may be in whatever sport, because obviously those will get you more points. So you want to try for them. But if you can't, like, get the
Oh well, no.
the singular point.
From what I understand in this case, like you can't even attempt that point unless you've scored a try.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So the focus is always to get you're just pushing them to the other side. And you get
Oh,
the try.
okay. Yeah. So there, if
It's like a bonus point.
if you're not good enough to get a try, then you're not getting.
Yeah, you're not getting
the
nothing.
chance of another point. Oh, okay. So Gaelic is different in that.
Yeah.
You're pretty much always going to get points. You're never going to have a 0-0 situation in Gaelic. But
Which makes it a lot more interesting to watch.
it does because there's constantly, but also it's not stopping. Well, I don't know. Is rugby a game that has a lot of stops and starts?
Not as much. They kind of let
I know
it.
American football is bad
Yeah,
for
no,
that.
American football pretty much like as soon as somebody like
As soon as
drops
somebody
the ball,
15
it's
minutes
like,
of ads.
it's like it's down.
It's the Super Bowl time now.
But it's actually really funny to watch. There's points where whenever somebody goes down, basically if they get tackled, you can actually see the maneuver of them like trying to rotate themselves as they fall on the ground to basically point themselves in their home direction and have the ball out in that direction. So now their body is blocking the opponents from trying to nab the ball, and they've basically created a barrier and an opportunity for somebody else to pick up the ball. And it's kind of cool just to see, like, in the middle of all this ruckus, this guy like goes down, like he's like, I could describe it as like a ballet dancer or an interpretive dancer that in the middle of all this chaos, he's just like doing twirls. And he's like, and then like he's in the perfect spot for somebody to grab it.
They're surprisingly, because you think, these, because they're big burly men.
Yeah.
It's not a case of, and they're, because I've noticed this as well in American football. Yeah, they look very big, and they are big guys, but like their lower section, like their legs and shit, like quite small.
Yeah.
Quite small.
They're top heavy.
they're very top heavy. They're like, what do you call those things that go whoop, 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 whoop?
Oh, you're thinking of Weebles?
Weebles,
They're bottom heavy. The Weebles wobble, but they don't fall
Weebles
down.
wobble, they fall down. Yeah, no, if you turn them on their head, there you go. That's what
There
they
you
do.
go, yeah.
No, the rugby players are just thick all the way down.
They are a great oak.
They're like fucking Mars bars. they're
They're
just
They are. The funniest moments is whenever they're talking to people, like whoever's like helping behind the scenes, talking to a manager or talking to somebody who's like somebody who also works for the team but is not one of the players, and they're like 5'8", 180 pound, like regular looking fella, and you stand next to them and they look like Mini-Me from Awesome Powers. And it's like every single rugby player looks like they're like 7 foot tall, 300 pound of pure muscle, and they could break you over one of their legs. which is
Probably wouldn't need their legs, to be honest. Probably could just pick you up and
yeah, they do it one-handed.
using the middle finger and then just
Yeah,
there you go.
but no, the reason I brought it up to Jack was I had a revelation while in the bar, and we've already touched on it, but these
You were
men,
wanting to touch on it.
yeah, these men were caked to the nines, and I have never watched a sport and just had the moment of realization of like, oh, I get why why some people are watching this. They have gotten themselves some of the biggest, strongest, burliest men with some caked up cheeks, and they have got themselves the best slow-mo cameras in the business, and then they have told them to dive headfirst against a ball, and it becomes a cinematic spectacle. Like, everything's in slow motion. The guy has hit the ground, and the ass is still falling like three seconds later.
Tom, I'm going to request you to pull up.
I can bring up footage.
Pull up on the screen here a wee bit of slow-mo rugby. What are we chatting here? We're chatting like proper slow-mo. Like, we're chatting maybe 1,000 frames per second in some cases.
Yeah.
Probably even more.
There was a couple of points.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
Man, they're actually massive. Like,
Well, we'll overlay the footage for anybody else watching.
That's not
this
happening.
is just a random. Come on, Jack.
you're not getting any of this.
These cheeks wiggle with such ferocity. And like, I was watching it. You could tell how long they were giving space as well for some of the shots, because any of the shots that missed and like panned away. There was a point where they spent like 5 seconds in slow-mo on a girl in the audience because they clearly just missed the shot, but they were like, we have allotted 30 seconds of jiggle time in the replay.
Well,
that we just have to leave it there.
Well, Tom, is that your philosophy now? Is that the reason why women watch rugby is because of the absolute cakeness of the players?
Yes. These boys...
Are you only now realizing that women like a bit of booty too? They do enjoy it.
I heard rumors of it, Jack. I heard rumors
Rumors on the grapevine.
that women might like a little junk in the trunk. But then I started watching rugby and I understood exactly.
That man was...
impact.
They're grabbing the booty. Even the men are like, let me just get away.
Rugby is officially a booty-centric
Get away, grab with that. Mate, oh my God. What's absolutely stunning is that... What's absolutely stunning is that somebody could throw the ball and they could throw the ball and they could be without the ball for 3-4 seconds, and then somebody will still come in and pile drive them.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even know how to respond to some of that. It's mental. Oh, they're quick as well.
They are. They're very quick. There was a great moment. I wonder if there's any replays of the actual like.
Oh man, his knee just went right into his back.
Tappity tap, tappity tap.
Right, just to give this podcast a bit more of a visual
20
flair.
hours ago.
Tom, make sure you're sending me your history links
Yes,
so I can.
yes. There's going to be a lot about caked up rugby guys, but like you can ignore most of it.
Caked up men.
This was the game. You can see. I've got up the highlights for Jack, and he can bring them up.
Oh, this is the game, yeah.
This is the exact game, and like, I only came in at around like 53 minutes. It's because I didn't know. It was
Hold on. He wasn't surrounded by anybody.
Yeah.
Do they have to dive?
They have. You have. It has to touch the ground. So
The ball does.
Yeah.
So why doesn't he just?
It's still in your hand.
So why doesn't he just go bang? Why does he?
It's just more efficient. It's like,
Is it?
yeah.
I can understand if you're.
Have you ever dived head first into bed?
Have I ever dived? No, Tom. I tend to just kind of.
Yeah, you tend to not leave.
I tend to not leave my bed, so that's something. No, like seeing these situations. No, 100%. Absolutely can understand. Little ballerina twirl. Because people are like right on him. The boy that we were looking at there in the first place.
Yeah.
Nobody was near him. There was nobody near him, so why the fuck was he? I can see why he's doing it there.
Yeah. Oh man.
I think they're used to it, mate.
It's just the way it goes. But God,
Tom, can you
your boy here, number 12, was phenomenal. Multiple points. where I was watching him play. I actually don't know his name because again, I just haven't. I don't watch football or sorry, rugby, and
There you go. That's 5 subscribers I've lost.
no, I fumbled. I thought I could be one of the boys, or at least one of the 50-year-old ladies that watches rugby for all the cake.
All the cake.
They have afternoon tea with the amount.
I'll tell you what. Though.
Yeah.
But Ireland there with the white shorts. Oh, dangerous, man.
Dude.
That's dangerous.
Oh, you might shake the togs.
Oh, if you shit the togs, mate, you're not hiding that. Like,
That's my rugby club. Shake the togs.
oh, shite togs.
With bright shorts. Just
Shite Arla.
Oh man. Oh Jesus.
I think some of them are just very like they don't dive. They just kind of ragdoll.
Slide off. I don't know, man. I was watching this again. Number 12 did a fantastic job. I need to figure out his name.
I do enjoy because they're running so fast at certain points.
Yeah.
That you do see them just go, Jesus Christ. You do see them start tripping over themselves.
I saw this bit live. This one was great. Look at it.
Oh yeah, nothing like.
Nothing, no resistance.
Oh yeah, so he's not diving. He's kind of doing a wee
Yeah,
slide
slide,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, and then a wee kick. There you go. There's a point.
I'm kind of.
Man, how did Romania lose that bad?
I know.
That is insanity. Hope you like the other one too.
Yeah.
That is absolutely mental. Tom, look
I'm
up.
kind of annoyed there's none of that in slow-mo.
Look up rugby. Just the most vicious rugby tackles.
Okay.
I want to see people break things because this is something else that like I gotta respect about rugby.
Yeah.
These lads are getting absolutely pummeled.
Before we get into it, look at these thumbnails.
Tom, I think you need to start screen recording.
We should.
There you go. We'll do that in the next one.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. This podcast is always a work.
I know there's like a guy there. Obviously, this is doctored.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you can say, man, it looks like how a superhero looks getting their power.
It does.
Oh, yeah, what is it? What's the movie where when you rip a part of it away, it's just got a like a blue inside. It's just got like electrical elements inside.
iRobot?
Is it iRobot where that's the case?
Oh, God, no. I don't know which one you're on about.
No, I think it kind of is because it's Will Smith, but whenever he removes the arm, you can kind of see more of the
electrical stuff.
the electrical blue stuff. It almost kind of looks like that. There you go. These rugby players are just robots.
I can't
Caked up robots.
I can't wait for like Mr. Beast to do a video on rugby players, and he's like, I allowed 1,000 rugby players to pile drive me.
Man, I would pay so much money to watch Mr. Beast get pile drived by 50 rugby players. Not even the full 100. Not even 1,000.
100 sounds better.
No, man, I'll just do 50. No. It's like one of those, like, start off at what? I let one pile drive me, 50, 100, 1,000, and then 10,000 rugby players.
First person to break my spine gets $1 million.
The first one does. All of the rest of his videos.
The wind does.
Mr. Beast becomes Mr. Hawking.
God, all right, we'll play this first one. Rugby is crazy. We'll get some of the footage up. There you go. Oh, well, all good.
Oh, my God. Oh, here we go.
They really, like, shoot like a bullet whenever they're coming out some force.
Mate, they actually look like bulging scrotums. Like, they're just massive.
They are. Mate, could you imagine, like, setting up a rugby game in the middle of, like, Asda?
Mate, they don't even... Some of them don't even look like they're trying to get past them. They're just looking like, no, I'm going to demolish... Look at them!
No, you don't.
Mate, these players, like, they don't care.
It's rough. I mind considering.
They're swept right off their feet and then into the air and then boom.
Yeah. I mind thinking about this idea of, like...
Oh my God!
Jesus, the amount of strategizing you would do for a play. It's like, if I do this and then I pass it off, basically figuring out a strategy that has minimal contact, and then suddenly a 7-foot, 350-pound pure muscle lad comes in and goes like, I go through. What's your strategy? I go through.
Mate, it's actually... Because you can see a lot of... there's a lot of technique in there. Oh my God. You can still see the technique. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
But then they have to know, mate. They have to know that it doesn't matter if they pass it. They're getting reeled. No, well, that didn't count. Or did it? Oh, I guess it did. Oh!
There's an old sports betting term, or like phrase.
Oh, that was
this
very
reminded me
close.
of, and it's you never bet on a sport that doesn't have a round ball. Because that ball could go anywhere.
Pretty much. I'm sure that's the reason for it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
It's to lead that idea of like, doesn't matter if you throw it. If you throw it and it bounces, it won't bounce forward. A lot of the time, it'll just bounce right back, so there's no point. This does not look like... Oh, there you go. Okay, we're just jumping in.
Jesus, we're back to 144.
144. I don't...
There you
2p?
go. This is back whenever they had the half penny.
It's the fact that they get up after this.
Yeah.
Like, you saw the guy there just... He was getting treated, and then he was like, no, hold on. And he just went right back in.
Jeez.
I think it's a very healthy... is that Cadbury?
Cadbury.
Wait, bit of Cadbury in the pitch?
Man.
Mate, God bless the photographers.
Yeah.
Like they are not being. Look at mate. Get that piece of kit away, mate. Like, if one of them lands on it, it's goodbye $3,000.
Yeah.
Oh my Jesus.
Oh, man. Oh.
Oh, he's going. Boom, boom.
Oh. There's great moments, especially in the bar, where people are just kind of having their drinks, doing their thing. Even if somebody scores, it was like a polite like. But as soon as somebody does one of those trip ups,
Oh, yeah.
where like it's one man against like 2-3 defenders, and he trips up all three of them, the scream of the crowd.
Mate, I'm sorry, but that's the David and Goliath. People love seeing one man taking on an army. They absolutely
They love seeing one rugby player take on 3 men,
it. Mate, you're absolutely
and they love to see him on the field.
Tom. You're absolutely correct. That white-haired boy is caked to the
I
nines.
know Draco Malfoy has never looked so good.
Oh my God, caked up Draco Malfoy.
This is what happens if he wasn't in Slytherin. He joined like
Oh, he's slithering into that touchdown, mate. Absolutely.
the try. Check, get it right.
I don't know, man. That's one thing I'll give American football. Touchdown is literally what you're doing. I don't know. I don't get the idea of like if you're
You're telling me you're not trying.
if you're scoring, why are you calling it a try? Feels a bit shite.
It's worth 3 points.
It's
It's worth 3 points.
yeah. So
Try 3 points.
I don't get it.
Triangle. How many sides on a triangle?
Well, there's 3, but I don't know what shapes have to do with it.
3. Try means 3. 3 points.
I'm not following you, Tom.
God.
Well, you tried.
Touchdown.
There you go. Touchdown. Yeah, touchdown feels triumphant.
I get the ball and I touch it down on grass.
Let's be fair, Tom. That's exactly what these boys are doing, even when they don't have to.
Yeah.
And he's right back up.
Mate,
Mate,
he got the
mate, I'll be honest. See, if I saw that in an action movie, I'd be like, that is the best move I've ever seen. That man absolutely kicked him. Fantastic.
But yeah, well,
Mate, some of these guys who get surrounded, they're just like, absolutely, fucking bring it on. And they just start going,
proper Hulk mode.
I love it, man.
Yeah, it's great.
I love it.
What a great sport.
If I was to get into a sport,
You get into rugby?
I'd probably get into rugby.
Yeah.
I think I've talked to you recently about wrestling because I like I like how fun it seems. It just seems like everyone's having a good time. Everyone's having fun. The lore kind of worries me a bit. But then again, I'd rather learn about wrestling lore than, I don't know, sit down and read the Silmarillion. That sounds boring as fuck.
What's that?
It's like some Lord of the Rings shit.
Oh, okay.
Or even, that's the thing as well. I suppose we'll talk about this. We recently had an experience with a little unknown indie game called STARFAILED.
Oh, yeah.
Tom, would you like to talk about basically what we did? Because we did pre-install it.
Yeah.
So we pre-installed. Did we both pre-install the day before?
Yep.
Okay, pre-installed the day before, and it came to midnight, or it was 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
1 a.m. And I booted up the game. I had done it on my console. You done it on your PC.
Yep.
I immediately was able to boot it up. All well and good. You had some issues
Where
where
I just started installing
it just
again.
started installing it again.
It like gaslit me that it installed it beforehand. It was like, oh yeah, it's installed, and then done it. And it was like, what are you on about?
And you're like, all right, annoying. I'm up at 1 a.m. But okay. And then you left it. I went and character
Played it for a
creation
bit.
and played it for a bit. And then I was like, I am also tired. Got up the next day. Still sick as fuck, of course. But we got a Starfield. Never hurt nobody. It hurt me though.
It hurt all of us.
You got it installed, started playing it, and just technical issues up the wahoo. Which ended up being the issue, Tom, that you found.
Yeah.
What was the issue?
Oh, with mine, like the only kind of thing that I can blame myself for, which is again like gaslighting material that I'm being blamed for this, but I installed Starfield on my hard drive, not on my SSD, because it takes like 100. It's like 110, 120 gigabytes, and I was like, I don't want I don't want that clogging up all the space on my SSD. It's only a 500 gigabyte one, so I was like, it's taking up more than a fifth of the space. I don't want it to. I'll put it on my 2 terabyte hard drive. That's perfectly fine. And then loading issues out the wazoo. Pretty much you couldn't walk 10 steps before it would freeze to load in something. And because of that, there was like audio desyncs. It was basically unplayable. And I'm on Nvidia as well, which I've heard is like having a worser time with a lot of the graphics of it. So it was just a god awful experience from the point. And as soon as I started to research, like, why is this an issue? Immediately getting people being like, either A, install it on your SSD, or B, buy another SSD if you're worried about space, or upgrade your PC because you're worried that it won't run it. And I was like, this is the worst experience for just what I wanted was a simple 1080p, 60 frames per second. I put what's it, VSync? I put VSync on my monitor whenever I play just so that it stays at 60, because otherwise I get screen tearing and all that jazz. It was like, I am playing at like the most bare bones level for 1080p gaming on a PC, and yet Todd Howard is telling me that like my setup is out of date and that I have to go and spend an extra 300 to 500 on upgrades.
I don't think it's it's fair that they were to state that, because I know for a fact whenever it comes down to, because I always look at what consoles were able to do. Again, you're not sitting there trying to. I mean, I know the consoles, the next gen consoles that whenever they came out were promoted as, unlike the Xbox One and the PS4, which seemed to be a little bit behind what PCs were able to do. These consoles were a really good deal. Like I have the Series S, but the Series X and the PlayStation 5, beefy hardware for the price. I mean, if you just want a game, that's a very good deal. You don't have to worry about anything else. And even they were saying 4K 30. That's what they were aiming for. You weren't going to get 60 on it. And everyone threw up their arms. And I went, if the game is that big, okay, you have to make sacrifices. I'm sure people are, I'm not too fussed about 4K, but if you don't have 4K there, then people get antsy. So, all right, the frame rate takes a hit. Fair. I didn't expect that to be a thing on PC. You're playing on 1080p anyway.
Yeah.
That's definitely not
Shouldn't
going to
have
be
been
an
an
issue.
issue.
I didn't experience any performance hitches. I don't think that's down to the SSD though. There should be something else, because the amount of loading screens that I experienced, you would go from a planet, and if you want to go up into space, loading screen. If you want to then go somewhere else, another system, loading screen. If you then want to land on a planet, loading screen. 3 loading screens just to go from one planet to another, which I could understand maybe one. But then, of course, I go and Mel mentioned briefly, played a bit of No Man's Sky, where you are able to go, no loading screens.
Yeah.
You're able to go from planet to space across a star system and onto another planet or a space station or whatever it may be, all in one. And it's 13 gigabytes.
It's crazy.
I couldn't get over it. And I know that there's been a lot of people talking about how it's, you know, it's a big game and this, that, and the other. And you have to kind of keep playing it. I think I heard 10 hours in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm hearing like it takes 25. I'm like, mate, there are games that aren't, I think, was it Video Game Donkey that mentioned that there are some games that aren't even 10 hours long and they're considered some of the best of all time. I played Arkham City recently. I played that in 8 hours. Probably didn't get all of the stuff. It's only 8 hours, but 8 hours of content. I was loving it. It was fast. It was fluid. It was wonderful.
I recently replayed Mirror's Edge, and the original Mirror's Edge as a whole is like, I think it was like 4-5 hours first time experience. I then replayed it on its most difficulty. So after I knew the kind of route, that was 3 hours. Like, it is a relatively short game, especially once you know what you're doing. But even compared to something like an Arkham Knight, Mirror's Edge is known as a traditionally short game at like 5 hours, but it's still heralded as a classic.
All the games I've played recently, like I played Asylum, I played Arkham City. I still have to finish Arkham Knight, but that feels like a bit of a longer game. All the Uncharted games, except for, again, once they reach a certain amount of time, I'm like, you're boring me. Anything under 10 hours, I'm like, I'm really enjoying this because the story itself is moving me along. It's always introducing new elements for combat, traversal, etc. Things like that. Even I played the Mafia games, the first 2 I completed. They're also under 10 hours, and there's issues with Mafia 2, technical, like with the port.
Yeah.
But still, it was like, you're going, and you're vibing with it. And it's like, oh, this is great, love it, love it, love it. Open world, shite, but story-wise, you're all good. These games, like Starfield, and I know that Fallout 76 had similar issues, and I just feel like games feel like they need to be open world now because you're spending $70 or £60 or whatever it may be. Games are mad expensive now.
Yeah.
And we used to think like £40, or then you go into the Asda and they're like 35 and you're like, hey. But even then, like 35 was a chunk of change back in 2009, playing Modern Warfare 2.
Still, significant.
But I don't know, you felt like you really got a lot out of it. And I feel like now it's not about the experience, it's about how much content can we give you. And it's not even really content. It's especially now with like procedurally generated stuff. And to be fair, I brought up No Man's Sky. I know that does have stuff like that in there, but it's there around stuff that's clearly like, again, they've worked on that for years. And like we watched a video that was going over some of the things that somebody did in the first 3 hours.
Yeah.
And my mind was blown. I was like, they went to a planet where there's like sandworms, like Dune, and then they went to a space station that put them across the galaxy, and then they ran into like a space pirate, and then like they were boarding another thing, and it was just absolute insanity. And I'm like, this is free on Game Pass. Starfield's also free on Game Pass. But all I could think of is this game probably costs so much money, and for what? There's loading screens galore. The story is just not grabbing me. If I have to play 25 hours to really start to like something, I'm sorry, but like, imagine if a 500-page book, you had to read 250 pages
before it got good.
Before you started to enjoy it. Like, no, absolutely not. You put that book down, send it back to the library, get your refund for your credit on Audible. Absolute shite. I couldn't get over it. I know Nicky Jakey's brought up his issues with it.
That is one thing I'm excited for. I saw like Nicky Jakey brought it up on his Instagram story. I was just like, there's a video coming. Is a video coming?
Let me guess the title, okay, Tom? Don't spoil, because I think you know what the title's going to be as well. But would it be Bethesda needs to fix their outdated game design?
Yes.
Hell
yeah.
Because that's all.
And then it's just a full picture of Todd Howard's face. And then Nicky Jakey with the ball.
It's so weird. Todd Howard is a very talented marketer. He's a salesman like unlike any other, because he feels so, he's not I don't know, I know people tend to like him nowadays, but I've never found Jeff Keighley to be very personable.
Jeff Keighley.
He always feels like he reminds me of, like, do you remember Major Nelson on the Xbox crew? He reminds me of him, where I'm like, I don't believe for a second that you play games. Not to say that Jeff Keighley doesn't play games. I'm sure he does, but it doesn't come off that way to me.
Yeah.
Todd Howard's like Phil Spencer, where I'm like, oh yeah, no, even if you don't, I get this vibe off you. You clearly know how to speak. You come from the Apple crowd. you know how to
They're
sell.
Clearly like on the businessman side.
Yeah.
Like I do get with Jeff Keighley, the takeaway I always get is that Jeff Keighley is very passionate about games, but he's so passionate about games being taken seriously. Yeah. Which makes sense, because like the early video game awards had like what was it? Samuel L. Jackson bringing on Limp Bizkit to give an award for a first-person shooter. And
There was all the first
body paint
the first the first video game awards. No, I think every single award was given out like on a naked woman in body paint, and you're like looking back, you're like, that's
not good. And like,
well, wasn't it on Spike TV?
yeah, it was Spike TV.
Yes, yes.
But Jeff Keighley is so passionate about video games being taken seriously that he is really trying to up it to the level of the Oscars. But he himself is still in that like major camp that he is not a pure businessman.
Yeah.
That it can come off a little bit like, I'd say a little bit amateurish, but it's just because of how excited he is.
I think this is the issue as well, and people probably need to remember this. Award shows kind of suck.
Suck anyways.
Award shows are not the place you go to find the best of the best. And if anybody thinks that, I'm like, I'm sorry, you're wrong. It's not the place. And I've said this to you multiple times. If you want to see the best movies of the year, you don't watch the Oscars. You don't watch the Golden Globes. Will they give you good stuff? Absolutely. The Game Awards will show you good stuff. But the amount of times that we have watched, Xbox, Bethesda, PlayStation, any of the big people, Ubisoft, any of their big events, and then you say, "Oh yeah, no, Jack, there's the indie developer little conference here. We're gonna see some," and you show me some of that stuff, and I'm like, "This is mind blowing. This is absolutely insane, creative stuff," and that never gets any sort of
light of day.
It doesn't get any sort of light of day, and instead it's like, let's do another first-person shooter that looks like Doom, but now it has magic in it. And you're like, I don't give a fuck.
Oh, what was it? I can't even remember.
Something about Ether? I don't know.
Yeah, it was like Chronicles of Avum or War of the Avium. Yeah, that one.
What's the game that you're working on? What's the title of that?
Oh,
Oh, there we go.
Jack, we can't let people know. It's still too early.
It's still too
in
early.
Development.
No one listens to this. Anyway. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. You got a sneak peek here. Guess the game below. Guess what kind of game it is.
But yeah.
If you get to this point, Tom, I see our drop offs. I see how many people listen up to this point. Yeah, it's whatever. We've came full circle now. Where if you showed somebody, I don't know, if you showed somebody Starfield 30 years ago, they'd shit their pants. They'd be like, "Are you kidding me? How is this even possible?" And now we're like, "This is pants, man." We're going backwards to where I'm like, I'm now more excited. You show me I keep forgetting it. What's it called? That like Doom.
The bolt
gun. That looks so fun.
Yeah.
It looks so fun. It's not a direct rip off of Doom. You can clearly tell that
it's inspired.
The inspired idea goes in there, but you can tell so much effort went into it, and it's very creative and interesting. You're like, that's great. That's fantastic. You don't get that anymore. What were we talking about recently when it came to, that like Doom rip off with the magic, and then I mentioned Bulletstorm.
Yeah.
And I mentioned how like games used to just be, here's what the game is, and then it has like this one killer feature that makes you go, "Oh, you could do that. I want to do that." Games don't have that anymore. They have to throw so much in that you're like, who cares? What is Starfield's like big thing?
It's really nothing. It's like it's a compilation of things to be all in one. It's like you have like fun. It's like fun quests. There's like planetary travel, asterisks. I've heard like the actual shipbuilding is quite good, but like, why would you want to build a ship in a world you wouldn't want to travel? That type of problem. It doesn't full on just sell one thing. It sells like a quote unquote experience of like, oh, this would be like to travel the stars, and it's like, No Man's Sky does this far better and far more stylistically as well.
Oh, that was the biggest thing. I was like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
This is gorgeous. And Starfield looks grey and muddied. And you even mentioned that you couldn't change the gamma.
Yeah.
It didn't give you the option for gamma at all. And then I showed you like, oh, here's the options I have, and
it was like 2.
It's fucking nothing.
Yeah.
You cannot change anything. And I was like, it's the illusion of choice, man. I think that's the biggest thing. They give you the illusion that you can do anything. And I'll be honest with you, I know people are really into the role-playing stuff, but I just want to take my hand and guide me through an interesting story, guide me through some interesting combat, traversal, some interesting things that I can do. And that's what No Man's Sky did. It said, hey, here's what you'll be doing. You can fix up this ship, but you'll need these ingredients, and you'll have to go do this and that and the other. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. And then there's actually ways to traverse these places, not just by foot, in No Man's Sky, which is, I think, the big reason why I got bored. I'm like, what do you mean there's no vehicles? Why is there no vehicles?
So there's a very common
What are you talking about?
like rule of cool in a lot of video game design, and I'm sure it's the same in films that you see that like as long if something looks cool, you can start to forego certain like certain constraints, like follow the rules as clearly as you can. But if the rule of cool comes in and something just looks awesome, just add it. It's that idea of like, oh, it wouldn't be realistic to have like a jetpack that doesn't run off of any power. It's like, yeah, that is true.
The idea of
but
like
it's fun to travel with.
you shouldn't be able to have 15 different weapons on you if it's not clearly shown, and it's like, no, but that's fun.
It feels cool.
And the more things you put in between the player and the fun stuff, and this is where video games, I think, when they try to be movies and they try and be real, that's where it falls down, because a movie or a TV show will always, even books in a way, they will always have to fall back on, this is cool, but what does it say about the situation? What does it say about character? Not saying that story isn't important in games, but it isn't. The important thing is, are you having fun and are you engaged in what's happening? That, for me, takes precedence over all else. If I'm constantly having to think about, oh no, my fucking jetpack's going to run out, I'm not having fun. Yeah. And if I'm not having fun, you've lost me. I will turn this off. And I will turn this off because I didn't pay for it.
Yeah. It's the classic...
Pay $12.99 for Game Pass.
The current discussion that actually fits into this quite well has been the discussion on encumbrance in video games, because Starfield, for anybody who has played it or has been able to play it, like immediately come up to the issue of the Bethesda's design staple of having encumbrance. Like you would remember this if you played Skyrim as well. Just going around, traveling, picking up things, finding new stuff, and then suddenly you're over encumbered. You have to put something down. You have to like put this away.
I never felt that in something like Skyrim. And I've played a bit of Skyrim. I've played a bit of Fallout. I've never felt anything like that in those games. And I think that's mainly because you really did have the freedom to just go and do whatever you wanted. Yes, there was those things in there, but Skyrim had never felt, it never felt so much in the way. Because if you were somebody that just kind of wanted to go and do stuff, you're not really going and picking up all this stuff, and or you're really only focusing on one or two things at a time. So if that does become an issue for you, then okay, you've hit something in the game. I've heard in Starfield that it's ridiculously low. Like you will fill up your, because it's the way you play, and like they've got like different, like if you do this, you'll be able to carry more, and like it doesn't even make any sense.
Well, yeah, if you break down the design of like what is the core experience about traveling the stars, it is exploration. And the first thing with exploration is like, oh, let's pick up things. Oh, let's grab this. You played No Man's Sky. You picked up material that you needed for a component like 3 steps earlier.
Yeah.
Because you were just walking around and being like, oh, I got a laser gun, zappy, zappy, zap, and you picked up some oxygen.
Yeah.
Which you needed later in the tutorial. But that's what you do. You were exploring, you were gathering, like that is part of the experience. And for them to be like, the design is exploration and gathering, and then putting a hard cap on like, but not too much, immediately starts to block what they're trying to sell.
Because I never felt that, and I think the bigger issue that I found playing it immediately, and again, Tom, you barely played any of it before, because
I didn't get a chance.
What I played of it, I got to the point where the woman gives you a mission to do, and then I was like, I'm bored. Uninstall. The thing that I found was that it was immediately asking you, whenever you were doing the character customization, it was immediately asking you the questions of, what do you want to be? And I'm like, I don't like that. I liked in Skyrim that they kind of threw you in, do the character creation, and yeah, you could be like a
Argonian, Khajiit, you could be a Nord. Like the races had specific attributes that you could consider.
You could consider, but it never felt. It felt like even if I did choose one of them, I could still go and do what I wanted to do. Like it never became that hindrance, because you're absolutely right. The exploration is important, but also the ability to go and do the stuff that you wanted to do anyway, and it not really be cosmetic. I think cosmetic gets a bad rap. It's like, oh, it's only cosmetic. I'm like, yeah, that's You just want to look the way you want to look. And yeah, if it gives you a few wee extra things, fair enough. But if I decide, oh, but I want a really cool sword, it's like, oh, sorry, you're a wizard. You can't do that. I'm like, but the Skyrim still let me do that anyway.
Yeah.
I can still do that. And I feel like Starfield, it was immediately asking me, oh, here, pick 3 personal attributes and then it'll give you this, this, and this. And I'm thinking, and then one of them was like, oh, you have a house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't care. Like, you're asking me all this and all I want to do is play the game. Skyrim just got me right in. And Skyrim also got me in like a dragon attack. That's so exciting. What was the opening mission of Starfield? Oh, you're a miner and you go, oh, and then you find like a rock. And then you do a character creation and then you're off to do something else. And I'm like, it's so boring. It's so boring and so bland. I'm like, bleh. And it's like, I don't see Starfield as a game that will survive and have 17 trillion editions like Skyrim.
No.
I don't see it as such. But it's also not a game like Elden Ring where it's so fully formed that you don't feel the need to... it doesn't have the same freedom. And I think that's the thing. It gives you all this choice, but it's an illusion because you don't really have the choice. You have this vast, expansive universe and it's empty. It's like, oh, but you have all these tasks. I'm like, but I don't care. If it bores me to go from one place to another, somebody even said, Tom, I'm not kidding. Somebody said, I can't yet. There's something going on over there. I can't wait to fast travel.
You're like, no.
No, fast travel is like a means to an end. You should enjoy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm thinking, you know, Red Dead. I enjoy going on my horse, you know, galloping through.
Jack, you're going to make me bring this up and people are going to hate you, but like this has been a point that I've hated for a long time. Jack started playing the Grand Theft Auto series. I think he started with GTA 4 and then played GTA 5. And Jack, as you hear him flick his lighter, Jack is a smoker. And what he would continually do is he would do a mission or
You're
two.
already giving me reason for doing it.
I know. God damn it. He would like know that the next mission was on like the other side of the map, and he would be like, okay, call a taxi in game. Taxi picks him up, and then he wouldn't skip the taxi ride. So the taxi just automatically drove him from one side of the map to the other while he rolled and smoked a cigarette. And I just looked at this like he was like, what the fuck is wrong with you, Jack?
No, but here's the thing, lads. Here's the thing. Because Tom watched me do it over Grand Theft Auto 4, Grand Theft Auto 5, and then I started playing Red Dead, and Tom just breathed a sigh of relief because he knew, there's no taxis in Red Dead Redemption, but there is horse and carts, and they take you anywhere you want to go. And I was like, yes! I'm glad you brought that up, Tom, because...
Don't try and pivot. This is a good design choice.
No, but Tom, I'm glad you brought that up because... Well, one, actually, good, because you can either choose to keep the ride and like, as if you were going there yourself, but it's just automatic. So it's the equivalent of me giving it to you.
True.
And you traveling there instead. Or you can fast travel. It gives you both options. But it's an in-game reason for being able to fast travel. I'm like, all right, good, sweet. That's a good design choice that you give that there. It's not just go to campfire and then you appear in some other campfire.
Yeah.
It's fine. The thing that I love about it is that it gave me the reason to pick up my smoke. But I was still playing the game. I was like, this is great. This is wonderful. Why do you hate me so much, Tom?
It's just play the game.
I was playing the game.
Can you not play a game and not smoke for 5 minutes?
The 5 minutes is the mission.
No.
And then it has me do something else.
Yeah, he's like, oh god, I need to smoke.
But no, there is in Red Dead 2, there was plenty of times where I was like, oh no, I'll just traverse, and that's absolutely fine. Because sometimes you don't want to traverse. But the issue would then be, Starfield doesn't even give you the option to traverse a whole system. No Man's Sky does. Starfield doesn't. So the fast travel isn't the exception, it's the rule. You have to fast travel.
It's like the only way.
And I'm like, that's pants, and that's another loading screen. And again, there's a loading screen in Red Dead, in Grand Theft Auto, if you want to fast travel. But otherwise, you can just put it on autopilot and let the taxi or the horse and carriage take you there. And I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think that's a way to play. Like, that's fair enough. Because sometimes it is a case of, okay, well, if you're with mates and you just kind of want to sit and chat and you maybe eat a bit of food, but you're still getting there, and you can listen to music or something like that, or even in Red Dead you can enjoy the scenery and you can see the world, and it's all well and good. The issue then falls on Starfield, where they don't even give you the put your ship on autopilot, and then you can maybe skip to a ship view while you're cruising around like the star belt of Orion, and you're like, oh, that'd be wonderful, man, while you're doing something else. And no, fast travel. It's like, shite. It's boring.
It is.
It's so bad.
Such a shame.
So Starfield, terrible. I played like 2 hours of it. I did so little in 2 hours, and then all I could think of is like, oh man, if I was in Grand Theft Auto, Batman Arkham City, Red Dead Redemption, fucking the Mafia games, I would be so inundated with stuff that I've done. No Man's Sky, I played 30-45 minutes of that. I felt like I already
got into space in that time.
I got into space. I was flying around. That was wonderful. I ended up coming down to another planet. I was like, this is wonderful. And like, man, see, ascending and descending from space into that, and you just see, and it was exactly like what I said. It was a lot of white. Probably a lot of loading went on in there, and then and then you just come down into the planet and you see mountains, and you're like, what the fuck? And it still felt very large, and you when like the sun is like casting beside the behind the planet, and you see like the lens flare almost, and then you can see where the clouds are, and you're just kind of, because I went into the planet and I could see myself start to do this and just go upright as I was coming. Great. It actually gave me that sense of real space exploration, and it was a game that it was in no way intending to be realistic, but they gave you that feeling of it. And Starfield just makes me feel like I'm
just makes me sad.
It feels like I'm not even playing a very large. I feel like I'm playing a game that was made by a group of 3 people. And if it was made by a group of 3 people, I would say, listen, very technically well done. You wouldn't say that. But I'm sure you'd be a bit more understanding. You'd be like, hey, listen, 3 people made this. Fair enough. Literally one of the biggest probably the biggest gaming developer. And it's this. I feel actually so bad because I made a bet with Tom. It's like, listen, no, because Microsoft have bought Bethesda. They're not going to let a game come out like shite. And they're going to make sure the bugs are fixed and everything. No. Because even without your issues, and even though that I didn't really I experienced one little ragdoll thing, but that was fine. People are just putting up all the bugs and all the issues and all the game-breaking shit. What a colossal failure already. So to all the reviewers that said, you've just got to keep going, fuck you.
No.
Fuck you for saying, no, you've got to just grind. That's essentially what they're saying. You've got to grind to do it. And I can just look back on all the reviews that said, oh, this game has a lot of grinding in it, so you're going to have to, and that's a negative. But now all of a sudden it's a positive just so you can
look at all this content to grind.
I hate it. I despise it. Fuck video games. Fuck popular video games. Not yours though, Tom. I'm very excited for your game that you can't discuss yet. But when can you discuss it, Tom? When
that was a very good question.
When will you be able to? Can we have
I don't know.
Can we have a live unveiling on the podcast?
God no.
Of the trailer.
God no.
for the game.
Trailer, Jack. Jeez.
Live.
You think we're like an actual legitimate company?
You're gonna have a trailer.
We'll probably have a trailer.
There you go. More details to come. Probably start of next year. We'll start to see some details trickling out.
Slowly but surely.
Still in development. Would you say alpha?
No. Jack, just nowhere near. No. Jack, like, I'm trying to think the equivalent. And like in movies, I feel like alpha is the equivalent of like, you've got the rough cut. Now you're editing.
No.
We're
that's
still
not,
filming.
No, that's not alpha. The alpha for a movie is the fucking script.
We're still writing.
The beta is like the rough cut.
I don't know. We're starting production at the moment.
You're starting
so
production.
that can take as long as it needs to be.
There you go. What's the release date?
I'm not saying.
Oh, you're not saying?
No.
Because
it's just starting production.
We'll say April next year.
No, we're not saying anything, Jack.
Well, it has to be up by a certain point. We'll say April next year.
No, Jack, stop it.
Tentative release date.
Stop.
No, Tom, then you can be a real games developer and delay it.
Yay, delays.
I can't wait to announce the delay. You've heard it here first, folks.
No.
April next
No,
year
no,
until,
stop.
until further notice.
Stop it. This is not how it's done. Get the fuck out of here.
This is exactly how it's done.
No, it's not.
You just say a date randomly
No,
and
you
then
don't.
delay it.
No, you don't.
That's how Bethesda does it.
Stop it.
What game was delayed recently? Oh, Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2, yeah.
Spider-Man 2. That's coming out in 2025.
Do you know what else was also delayed, Jack?
What?
Dune 2.
Oh!
Sit there and cry. You make me hurt, I'll make you hurt.
Wah, wah.
My
But you know what, Tom? It's delayed. It's still going to come out before your game.
Yes, probably.
It's still going to come out. Was it March? So it'll come out a month before your game.
No, Jack, it won't.
Lads, ladies, everything in between. That's been another edition of Heckling Hollywood. We have discussed so many topics off the top of our heads, and half of it was fucking rugby. So God bless them caked up rugby players. God bless Gordon Ramsay, and fuck's sake, Todd Howard. Can you just do us a solid for once in your life? Tom, closing thoughts.
I think you summarized it perfectly. Gordon Ramsay good, rugby good, Starfield bad.
There you go. See, it's a compliment. It's not really a sandwich. You put 2 slices of bread and then you put fucking tuna on the bottom, like expired tuna.
Yeah.
You're like, nah, it's disgusting.
And it's like sticking to the hot plate, so it's...
Oh, well, you know what the benefit there is that you can at least take Gordon Ramsay off and the nice wee bit of bread. And you can go, all right, I'll just take this piece of bread. That bread's fucked. The rugby's fucked. It's touched Todd Howard. You don't want that. You don't want that.
Oh, no.
Todd Howard, you're a great man, but Jesus Christ, you just fucking fix your shit. Fix your shit.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. Bye.
April 2020.